Okie dokie boys and girls, today is day 292 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only, and we have a pull day. Now, it's gonna be a very simple pull day because one of the mistakes that I used to make is I was doing too much shit. Like too much things that I didn't really care about as well, and I would basically end up doing a workout where half of it was useless. So for example, let's say it's a back day, and I'm doing front lever, which is what I care about the most, but then I also would do a lot of pull-up sets, and I would maybe do some bicep curls, and I would do like forearm work, but like not accessory or prehab wise, like just to get them bigger or something, and I would do a lot of things that I didn't really care about. Now, that makes your workouts quite useless, which is a waste of time, but it's also a waste of energy, because if you learn to just focus on the essentials, what you actually care about, your number one priority, you're going to be able to put that much more effort into it and make that much more progress, which is very important, right? So today's workout, it's not going to be 5 exercises, 25 sets in total. No, it's going to be, 1, maybe 2 exercises, and it's probably going to end up being like 6 sets in total, because I'm gonna start with 5 sets of front lever, which is my main goal. It's what I care about the most, because not only do I get stronger at the front lever, I also put on muscle because it's high intensity. I also get general strength for my back, so I can easily learn other exercises. And basically, I pick one priority exercise, which allows me to get many of my goals at the same time, so to speak. But I focus on this one goal, and because of that one goal, perhaps other exercises will become stronger too, but I don't waste my energy on them. That's something that's very important, I think like in my push workouts at the moment, it's like the very limit of what you're able to do at the same time, because I'm doing planche and I'm getting a bit stronger at the planche. I'm doing a lot of push-ups, which is my main goal at the moment, and I'm getting stronger at those. I'm also doing some dips, and it's like juggling around, It's way more difficult to focus. But anyway, let's get started on the workouts. Today is going to be a hold endurance, so basically focusing on straight arm work. I'm going to do my first set here of basically a front lever hold, and when I'm not able to hold it anymore, I'm not just going to let go of the bar. I'm actually going to drop down to the previous progression, or like an easier progression, like one-legged front lever or even tuck front lever, to hold the front lever even longer, because that's basically my tactic at the moment to build endurance. For me, I feel like a good base of front lever hold is like 40 seconds or something, and then I'm quite strong. But yeah, I'm gonna do first one set of like an insanely long hold, and then I'll see from there, but it will also be straight arm focused. That's like 37 seconds, followed by essentially 13 seconds of tuck hold, because there was barely any juice left in the tank to do a one-legged front lever. But all in all, a good sit. And a cramp in my abs. I do feel like, I am not doing enough total hold volume over the weeks, to get better or really good at the hold. So I'm struggling to reach 40 seconds at the moment, but perhaps I should find a way to do more holds in general. But the problem there is, if you add something, somewhere else, you have to kind of push away things, because if you try to, put in too much exercises, too much different shit, that's what I was saying in the beginning, You can add stuff to your workout, but does it all matter? Are you able to focus? If I add the front lever, am I gonna remove something else? Because if I don't, I have to spread the same energy over more goals, more exercises, which will slow down the progress everywhere. And even maybe put it to a stop, which is not what you want, of course, but I'm gonna rest up and think of another set to do, because I don't know yet. Alright, so the next set is gonna be front lever holds and presses. Now, I'm gonna do a couple sets ascending style, which means every set I'm gonna add a little bit. I'm gonna start out with a 10-second hold, do one press, and then try another 5 to 10 second hold, depending on how I'm feeling after this previous heavy set, or intense set. You know, basically it was a very long set, so I'm tired. But you know, essentially I'm gonna do that, and then the next set I'm gonna do the same amount of hold, but do 2 presses in between, and I'm just gonna see how many sets I can do that in total. Alright, 5 seconds in the end. It will allow me to do more sets, which when it comes to endurance might be better, you know. I need some extra volume. Today's today's training is dedicated to the front lever hold, so I might as well do some front lever hold, you know, do some extra volume. Today that's fine because I planned it, but I feel like if I'm gonna add some holds, like in the grease in the groove or something, or in between trainings, that's when I'm gonna mess up. I feel like I'm gonna think about it, but you know, I wanna keep focus as well, because in the end, especially this month, my main focus is leg training. Next to that, it's gonna be chest training. So the back kind of comes down to 3rd place, which essentially is last place. But yeah, nonetheless, let's enjoy the remaining sets of the ascending style. Alright, fuck yeah, failure has been achieved. Whew. Which, as you know, is not a bad thing in training, you know. Training is about failing, going to failure, because that's how you get stronger. But yeah, I'm very happy with this sequence, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 presses. I failed to hold at the end, but satisfied nonetheless. And now I'm gonna do a couple more sets. The training plan has kind of changed today. You know, I do this based on feeling. I have a general plan going into the workout, so today my plan was to focus on front lever holds and then do a normal workout, and in the end maybe do 1 set of pull-ups. But I feel like, you know, today I'm gonna do a bit more holding sets, still a bit more pressing sets, excuse me, still. So I'm already at 6 sets right now. I'm gonna do a couple more. I'll be like at 8 or 9 when this workout is done. Essentially, I don't need any more pull-up sets, because the reason I do these pull-ups is because, or the normal pull-ups, is because it's fun to be strong at pull-ups, you know, but it's not the main goal. So I do these when I have energy left over after a normal training, but today is gonna seem, you know, it's becoming quite a heavy and difficult training where I spend more energy than usual, so I don't have the energy left over, you know. And in that case, I just want to focus my recovery on the essentials, on what I care about the most, which is the front lever. Alright, let's take a quick break and then do some front lever presses, but special front lever presses. I'll talk to you in a moment. Alright, so special presses, what the hell does that mean? Well, in the front lever, if you notice when you do a normal press, you're basically going from this position to this one. And it's not really a big range of motion because, well, if you think about it, your arm does not only go from here to here, it can also go all the way up, you know. So there's this big range of motion that you're missing in front lever if you're only doing presses, which I'm gonna be honest, like when it comes to straight arm work, I only do holds and presses. So for me, like every part like outside of that range is basically a weak spot, and it's something that I've known for a long time but really just never gotten around to fixing. Today, I guess I might as well take a first step, or just it's good to do it once in a while, you know. So I'm gonna do high range of motion presses. You can call these raises as well, but for me, it's like a raise is when you go from dead hang into a front lever. I'm not gonna be able to do that because if I put the bar vertically, I'm gonna be with my feet against the floor when I go all the way up. But if I don't, well, I'm gonna be with my feet at the bottom and I'm all the way down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm kinda gonna move to an L hang and then press my way up. You'll see what's gonna happen, but it's gonna give me a bigger range of motion. It's also gonna be very hard, especially at the end of the workout. So this will just be a couple reps for a couple sets. Perhaps, you know, if I feel like it, a band assisted set at the end, but first, let's just see how a normal body weight version of this feels. Feels very hard. Let's do another set. Alright, let's do that one finisher set with band assistance. Alright, and that's it for today's training. And in case you didn't know yet, the best back pumps come from straight arm front lever work. Like, without fail, every time I do these straight arm front lever workouts, endurance based, my pump is just insane. At least it feels like that. Maybe it looks like shit, but the feeling I have right now is everything but shit. It's fucking amazing. So yeah, that's it for today's workout. One focus, you know, I only focused on straight arm front lever work, holds and presses. That's it. You know, trying to get my endurance better. And you know, even though it's front lever endurance, the front lever is quite a heavy exercise, right? So even the endurance based stuff, unless you're Onizuka, is gonna be less than a minute per set. And that's basically still strength, you know, it's strength endurance, but nonetheless, it's gonna get you amazing gains. And well, because I was able to execute the goal of the day so well, I don't have energy to spend anymore to do anything else, right? I could do a set of pull-ups right now, but even if I were to give it my 100%, you know, my max effort, if I were to go to failure or even past failure, it wouldn't actually be my 100%. It wouldn't actually be my max, because right now I'm already spent, you know. On the front lever, I've spent 90% of my energy. Even if I recover, like the amount of power that I'm actually going to be able to give to the pull-ups is maybe going to be 50% of my actual power at most. So if I go to my absolute limit to failure, past failure, it's not 100%, it's 50%. And basically because it's, not even half, right? Because it's not my full power, it's also not gonna give me the full effect, right? I'm gonna have to recover from that shit, but it's gonna take away from recovery of my front lever, and also it's not gonna return very good gains to the pull-up. Now, if I were to have done less sets today, if I were to have done like 5 sets and left a bit of power in reserve, then I would have had energy to do a useful set on the pull-ups. But today I went extra hard, I focused extra hard on the front lever, so I don't have the energy. And that's something you have to play around with, If you hold back a little bit on your main exercise, well, you can do something else of another exercise too, but you're kind of not, I guess, wasting energy, but you're gonna have less focus on your main exercise, which in theory will also mean less gains. So that's something you just have to accept. It's not bad to do, right? Maybe you want to just accept that you're not going to progress as fast as possible on one exercise, if that means that you can progress on another one as well, because it's very fun, right? You focus mainly on one exercise, you do a couple sets of the other, and then you progress at both. That's fun too, but it's just something you have to be aware of. And yeah, that's basically it. That's it for today's workout. Very happy with how it went. Insanely fucking pumped. But that's just a given at this point with the back workouts. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for an insane leg day. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow for an insane leg day. I'm gonna have dinner first. That's something to worry about tomorrow morning.